Hello friends, welcome to the 9th episode of the series William Shakespeare. As we are discussing about the series of William Shakespeare, the tragedy of Hamlet, which is the best among 4 tragedies written by William Shakespeare, I am going to talk about the summary of Act 1, which has 5 scenes. So let's begin. The Act 1, Scene 1. The play opens on the darkest of nights on the ramparts of Elsinore Castle, where Francisco is guarding the castle, who was later relieved by Bernardo. After some time, Marcellus and Horatio, a friend of Prince Hamlet, came to the watch. The guards convincing Horatio that they have seen the ghost, but he was not ready to believe in. Suddenly the ghost appeared again, and they noticed that the ghost wearing the same armor that King Hamlet wore at the time of battle with old 14 brass. The ghost disappeared because of the sun rising. They all decided to tell Hamlet that they have seen a ghost and to know the reason behind its arrival. Here the scene 1 ends. In scene 2, King Claudius holds the court for thanking people to give their support at the time of King Hamlet's death. He uses pretty words to make his marriage with Gertrude sound perfectly normal. He then says to the court that he has received a message from 14 brass to demanding Denmark to give up the lands that old Hamlet won from the battle with old 14 brass. Later, they turned to a depressed Prince Hamlet, who was very raging because of the sudden death of his father. King Claudius tells Hamlet to look him as his father and hopes that he will not leave Denmark. Hamlet, in a soliloquy, wishes that he could die because he cannot tolerate the sudden marriage of his mother and uncle. He was then interrupted by the entrance of Horatio and Marcellus. They told Hamlet about the appearance of the ghost and asked him what to do next. Hamlet then decides to stand by watch with them at that night. Here the scene 2 ends. The scene 3 begins with the conversation between Leatus and Ophelia. Leatus warns his sister not to fall in love with Hamlet because he believes that he is a man who must marry to preserve the sanity and wealth of the state. Later, Polonius came scolding Leatus for taking so long. He then asks Ophelia what she was talking about with Leatus. Ophelia answers Hamlet. She claims that Hamlet has expressed his love for her, but Polonius said no. He asked Ophelia to stay away from Hamlet because he didn't like Hamlet. Ophelia, with no hope, obey the order of her father and decides to stay away from Hamlet. Act 1, Scene 4 begins when Hamlet, Horatio and Marcellus were guarding the castle. Meanwhile, from inside the castle, they hear the roar of revelry, which is done by King Claudius. Hamlet says that the act of King Claudius makes the noble dance look swinish and corrupt. They suddenly noticed that ghost has appeared. They all were frightened, and the ghost urged Hamlet to follow him, but Marcellus and Horatio stopped him. Hamlet, with his eagerness, breaks free from their guard's hand and followed the ghost. At that time, Marcellus says that something is rotten in the state of Denmark. In Act 1, Scene 5, when the ghost and Hamlet were alone, the ghost speaks for the first time. He claimed to be the spirit of old Hamlet. He further says that the citizens of Denmark believed that the king died after being stung by a snake. But in reality, it was Claudius who killed him, pouring poison into king's ear, thus stealing his life, his crown, and his wife too. Hamlet, after hearing all these things, in angerness and raging, decided to avenge his father's death. He was then interrupted with the entrance of Marcellus and Horatio. They, with their eagerness, asked Hamlet that what the ghost said to you. Hamlet, talking in round, tells the story of the appearance of ghost, but swears them to keep secrecy. No matter how strange he behaves in near future, they should not ask any question. They are ready to obey the Hamlet's order and decide to keep all the things secret. 3 times before they can leave, the ghost appeared again and cried loud, "Swear, swear, swear." This is how the scene 5 ends. Thus, with the appearance of the ghost, the conspiracy of Claudius behind killing his brother comes to us. Hamlet's decision to take revenge against the murder of his father makes the readers curious to know about his planning to kill Claudius. Thus, the Act 1 ends with some revelation and will. Thank you.